Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. I cannot believe it is already the 10th of December. It is just flying by. I actually did start my Christmas shopping, but I am so far behind. I have no idea how I'm going to make it. I hope you guys are doing better than me in that department, but we are going to have some fun today. We are going to be talking about some different Christmas things. Some is Hello, Miss Karen. I'm so glad you remembered. Hello, hello. So, we're going to be talking about the Demo December ornament, which is offered by Kimberbell. So, that's going to be the first thing that I'm going to stitch out. And then I have created a few ornaments that can be done in the hoop that are pretty simple. There is some wording in a couple. It just has like a filler of the letter's name. So, you can put in whatever you would like there, a name or Merry Christmas or whatever you would like to do. Hello, Mom. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one, but I feel bad that if you're in the same spot as me. So I'm so sorry. Pardon me. I hope everybody gets some crazy Christmas shopping done very, very soon, if that is where you're at as well. So maybe you need to make a few ornaments to either attach to the outside of a gift or be a gift. So let's jump right in and not waste any more time. I know me standing here talking to myself is super exciting to listen to. So we're going to switch our screens here. Let's try this one. Nope, not that one. Yep, that one. Okay, good morning. All right, so this is my embroidery hoop. I have loaded the Demo December design. You can get that for free on our website. It is literally Demo December. It's called Oh Stitch Mystery, I believe, or something like that. But it is free. You just type in a code at checkout. There are a couple videos. So the way Demo December is supposed to work is you watch a demo and then you get the file for free. That was how it was originally set up. But it was originally set up like COVID, before COVID kind of things. And, those things changed a lot. So coming in for a demo to get a coupon code really doesn't apply quite the same as it did a few years ago. So we have attached a couple of videos to our listing. I'm so sorry, pardon me. And if you would like to watch those, there is a demo on clear blue tiles and one on the orange pop rulers, which are both things offered by Kimberbell. So that was the idea behind this, is you see how some of their stuff works and then you get a free Christmas file. You don't have to watch the video if you don't want to, but they are there if you would like to. Ronnie picked them out, and I'm not going to lie, I don't even know which ones he picked. So I guess I probably should click on that so I know what he picked, huh? All right, let's jump right in. Like I said, I have the Stitch Mystery file loaded. I just have a very pale green and a standard bobbin in at the moment. So I'm just going to get started. And this is, it's a pretty quick stitch out for the most part. I do have a little bit of trimming that I'm going to need to do. So that's going to be the boring part on your end. So apologies for that part. Here we go. We're going to just jump right in. This first piece is going to be for foam. And I literally ran around the store like a crazy person this morning, trying to find all the supplies for what we were going to be stitching out here. So this part is not quite as big as the other. So the foam on this one is just a teensy bit smaller than the actual. So I have quite a large piece of foam here. I'm just going to use the corner of that, cover that up and tack it down. And then I'm going to need to trim that. So what this is going to do is it's going to give some body to the ornament itself. There is foam in our other ornaments as well. As a construction stitch, that's going to go around there twice like you just saw. And sorry, there you go. I need to flip that little guy up to pull that out so I can trim that off. We're going to switch over here. I've got lots of stuff going on in my workspace over here, so it's a little messy. We got our felt that we're going to use, and this is for stuff we're going to do later. So I just need to trim that excess off there. One of these days I'm going to mark which scissors are good ones. Really, I am. Add that to my to-do list, right? All right, so we're going to just grab this, snip right up to that line. We, of course, don't want to snip the stitches if at all possible, but you do want to get close because this is going to be kind of puffy behind the stitch of the felt, and we don't want anything poking out and getting in the way. So do try to get as close as you can there. All right. That is literally all there is to that. So we just have a little bit of poof right there. We're going to pop right back over here and sew. And I believe this is going to be the placement line for our felt. All right, so that looks pretty good. So you can see how much farther out that stitch is. So we have a little bit bigger piece here. Make sure that you're covering all of that up. This one will fit in a 4x4 hoop. So I have basically a 4-inch wide piece of felt here, very roughly. I just you can see, not straight lined, cut that off of, not straight line at all, actually. Cut that right off my piece of felt. This is Kimberbell felt. We do also have OESD felt as an available option here. They are both pretty nice. They come in slightly different packaging, so depending upon what you're looking for, and of course, different color options as well. Let's see if I go to this one, what happens? Nope, that one doesn't do a darn thing, does it? There we go. All right, so at this point, I don't need to trim this yet, so I'm just going to leave that alone, but I am going to get rid of this piece hanging off the bottom, which you guys can't see. We're going to put another piece on the back, so that's what that piece is for. I'm just getting rid of that so you guys can see what's going on here. So this is going to be the decorative stitching. I actually think I'm going to put some gold in so that you can really see that, and even for more fun, I'm going to use metallic. This is going to have a backing, so we will not see these stitches through the back. So we don't need to worry about matching a bobbin at this point. But when we get to that edge final stitch, you will, if you care, you'll want to pay attention to that one. My arm is going to get in the way here in just a second. Apologies ahead of time. This threader is all the way back there. And there's pretty much no way for me to change threads without putting my arm in front of that camera. So I apologize. All right, so these are just some decorative stitches going. That didn't thread, so hang on. Or it popped out, one or the other. It didn't thread for some reason. Oh, it's a good day. Contacts are working. I actually was able to do that. All right, let's just make sure we have all of those stitches. There we go. Sorry about that. So for this particular, I put in a Kingstar Metallic Gold. I do actually have a green that is basically the same color as this felt. So I might use that as my final stitch. I think it would actually look really pretty to have this in this green shade as well, but I thought I would do a color that you guys would be able to see at least a little bit. So this is kind of forming the tree. We have the stem of the tree here, the trunk, and then just kind of swirly branches, kind of, if you will. It's a very pretty stitch out. There's another color after this that's going to have just some little like circle pieces on there. I think I'm going to leave those in gold, but it is a color stop, so you could always change that as well. Good morning, Miss Kathy. Oh, well, I hope Jim's feeling better and that you guys have a safe trip. Be a long ride if you're sniffling the whole way, huh? Hope that whatever you picked up for him yesterday works. All right, there's the top of the tree. We're going to have a little filler over here, and then it will be the next color. So like I said, this is a pretty quick stitch out. You could absolutely have more than one of these in your hoop at a time if you, again, are making either ornaments or if you wanted to do a little attachment just for like a tag kind of thing, you certainly could do that as well. If you are doing a tag, you could pre-stitch on your back if you wanted to. You would have to do it beforehand, of course, because otherwise it would show through. But you could pre-stitch 2025, love Mimi or love mom or love whoever. If you wanted, you could actually put something on the back and have that be a little tag for whomever you're gifting as well. All right, so like I said, we're going to have just little kind of ornament type things here. So I'm going to leave that in the gold as well. But again, it is a color stop, so you can change that if you would like to. So we've got, I don't know, 7 of these or something like that. This is the cute little guy. For the different Demo Decembers over the year, they have definitely changed what they are giving away. We've had a lot of different things. We've had little miniature decorative, like a wall hanging, but like the little tiny ones. We've done pillows. We've had lots of different things. I do really like this, and I also like the simplicity of it. Sometimes it is definitely taxing to try to do something that has a million steps. So this one's nice and straightforward. How much snow do we have? Well, it is currently raining. So there's at least 4 inches plus out there in random spots around here. But the rain is going to melt quite a bit of that away, but it's supposed to snow again over the next couple of days. So I guess we'll see. It's about 36 degrees. So it's not freezing, but I'm a little concerned when the temperature drops with all that water out there, what it's going to be like. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I came up a different direction because the highway was pretty backed up this morning. I don't normally take back roads in, but it's not really a back road, but I took Packard in today. And so I came in from the other direction. So the construction is almost done. It looks like they have one more section of cement to pour. And then, of course, it all needs to set before we'll be able to drive on it. But it looks like our construction may be ending. So hopefully that's not going to take too much longer. All right. How thick is the foam? It's a great question. I don't have the actual thickness, but I'm going to hold that up so you can see. It is not very thick. And of course, when you stitch into it, that squishes it as well. Another option would be to put it on the back. And so afterwards kind of thing, you could do this, that stitch again and put it on the back if you wanted. And that way it wouldn't have, you could jump around the design and it wouldn't squish it. But there's definitely poof in between here, but it's definitely squished down where the stitching has happened. Let's see. I am going to go ahead and switch to that green for my final, and I'm going to do that metallic. So this final stitch, I do want my back to match. So I'm going to put in a matching bobbin. I'm going to set the hoop aside for just a second. So I have just a standard embroidery bobbin that I've been using here. I am going to put in that beautiful green metallic, and then I'm going to rethread with that as well. Hopefully my threader will work this next time, because that's no fun having to do that on your own, is it? All right, let's see. got that really nice tape, that tape that sticks to itself here, holding my metallics together so that they don't unravel. And it's so great. I have a hard time getting that off. You got to find just the right edge and pick that up. All right. So this is MA8 in our King Star Metallic. Sorry about my arm again. Fingers crossed, everybody. Yay, it's threaded. That's what I like to see. All right. So we are going to switch over here. So we've got our gold stitching. So you can see the puff in between in there. I need to put my next piece of felt on the back here so that it will stitch all the way through. All right. I don't want to have any really loose corners, so that I just used big pieces and did this. You could do the 4 sides if you want. I don't think I need that for this simple stitch out, but I want to make sure I'm completely covering my stitch area. And then we're going to come back over and stitch that final little guy over here. All right, so this is going to kind of go in between. This is going to be your cut line, and then this is going to be the line that holds everything together. So again, we are attaching that back felt now. What brand of foam? That is a phenomenal question. It is going to be one of a couple different ones. I pulled it out of our scraps drawer, so the 100% answer, unfortunately, I don't know, but it's probably SoFab foam. If it is not SoFab foam, it is the Kimberbell Flexi foam, or what would the other one be that we have? We sometimes have embroidery foam by Floriani. But it's probably either SoFab foam or Kimberbell foam would be my stab in the dark. All right. Good morning, Miss Kathy. All right. I'm going to pop back over here real quick. So we have just that single stitch out here. Again, if you had pre-stitched, you could have lined that up so that you could have, 2025 or love whoever. You could pre-stitch your backings if you wanted to have something on the back, but you would have to do that in a separate hooping. I'm going to go ahead with my curved scissors. So this, just in case you did not see, I have 2 layers of sew and wash, which is a wash away mesh. So I'm going to take that back. I'm going to use my big old scissors here because I don't want to take too long. All right, we're going to just cut on or just inside that outside light green. Problem with big ones, they don't curve quite as easily, huh? But they sure cut like butter. And their directions are showing you to take a needle and thread. I know you guys are all laughing because you know how much I'm going to probably do that. And just put some twine through the back layer, tie a knot, and use that for hanging. You could also attach something to the back before you actually attach the back. So on that final stitch, if we had put a ribbon or even some string there and then put the felt on, we could have sewn that in. So that would be an option. I don't have any string here, which is why I didn't do that. It's probably what I would do because you guys know how much I love to hand sew. So we have this cute little tree that you can use as an ornament or a tag. And again, I would probably sew in my my string or whatever I'm going to use right to that back there, but I didn't have time to find that this morning. So there is the Demo December for 2025 offered by Kimberbell. Okay, so we have a lot of different things that are going to be offered in the holiday celebration files from us. So I have 3 different ornaments. I have a snowflake, a different Christmas tree, and I also have a little pet paw that you could put your pet's name in if you are looking for some new pet ornaments because maybe you got a new pet and didn't have a chance to get them a family ornament or something like that. So You have a couple different options there. I am on a Christmas tree theme here, and that's what the felt I have is. So we're going to do that. But you could, of course, like I said, do whatever you would like. I have, yet again, 2 layers of, excuse me, wash away mesh. And I'm just getting those nice and tight in my hoop. I want to make sure it doesn't pop out. So that's all we have in the hoop. I'm going to come back over here. So in the machine, I have, whoo, almost lost my bobbin cover. I have that metallic. So I'm going to take that out. I actually have bobbins run of most of my metallic threads because I really like to do lace and things like that. And I actually have that in just a little case. So I have all of those pre-run, not all of them, but a lot of them. So I don't have to worry about that. But at the moment anyways, I'm just going to put my standard embroidery bobbin back in. All right, so these are going to be made basically the same way as our others. Taking out that metallic thread as well. Get that tape put back on later. And on my machine, which if any of you didn't know, I am generally sewing on the Baby Lock Radiance when I am live, unless I am highlighting a specific machine. We have both the Radiance and an Avenir here in store. There is a beautiful package on the Avenir. Last night, just before I sent out the email about today, I did send out the holiday gift guide email, and it did highlight the Avenir. It is such a beautiful machine. And for any of you that have been, waiting, hoping all of the whatevers are fixed, the final update for all of that has come through. There is nothing else for them to work on. And so we have some beautiful functioning machines that are absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to move right in, and I have my Christmas tree here. This one has 2025 on it and a little holly leaf in the center, and it does have actually a little circle for hanging for your ornament hanger of whatever sort that you're going to use. This is going to begin basically the same way. In the folder, which if you did read the email, go you. These will be posted. That's the first thing I'm going to do when I log off here is I'm going to go to the computer. I'm going to make sure all the files look good. And there's instructions for everything in ours as well. So in addition to the ornaments, I have a cute little zippered bag, and I used the kind of word play that we used from, goodness, how many? I think that was 22. We did a cute little pillow with word play, and we had that available in both scan and cut and stitch files. This time, this one is just a stitch file. It's a little zippered bag, but it has sewing embroidered words on the front of the bag. So that's going to be one of the files. And there are zippered bag instructions going to be in there as well. But we do have instructions. So I actually used the In the Hoop designer, which is by Dimes Software. So the that piece of software they did a phenomenal job with. There's a bunch of different, we'll call them blanks, that you can pick from and then adjust and personalize, if you will. But there's instructions available for all of the different types of In the Hoop projects that are there. So those instructions are going to be included. And then I did not forget about all you lovely sewers out there. I also have a drawstring bag pattern that it's a very simple, very quick, and depending on how quickly we get through here, I'm going to try to maybe sew that, or at least parts of that here today. I do want to make sure I give credit to where I found this adorable piece. The idea and the pattern is by Thoughtful Creativity. I watched her YouTube and I wrote out the pattern based on her information. So I do want to give her props. It's very straightforward, and it's absolutely darling little bag. You could certainly adjust the sizes, but I wanted to make sure that I covered everybody's basis. We've got ornaments, we've got a little embroidered zippered bag, and then we do have a sewing drawstring bag. I think drawstring bags are great. You can use Christmas fabric this time of year, pardon my arm yet again, and make little gift bags instead of having to go out and buy them. You can use your scraps. This uses 2 8x9 pieces and 1 8x5 piece. You can use either ribbon for your ties for the drawstring part, or you can make them out of fabric that coordinates. That coordinating fabric would then be a 1 1/4 inch piece by about 22. I am going to see how it works with a 1 1/4 inch width of fabric that I cut in half. So basically it's probably going to be more like 21-ish, something like that, maybe 20. We'll see how that works. I totally understand the whole making the payment thing, my dear. Well, you just know I'm here whenever you're ready. It is such a fun machine to sew on. There's so many fun things. Last week we talked about the picture play. There's just such a great wealth of things that are in this beautiful machine. So let's jump right back in and start with this. So instead of having a file that is only the line for your foam, this is going to be a layered piece. So we are going to take foam and felt at the same time. So I am going to real quick, and you guys don't need to see me do this necessarily. I'm just going to size a piece so that I don't have this huge piece here. Because I just have a huge piece of foam, which is really hard to do on camera. So I am going to do that. And same thing, I am going to cut my felt as well. Sorry. Like I said, I was running around like a crazy person, and it did take still longer than normal to get here this morning. So I didn't have quite as much time as I had hoped. So I have a placement line here. All right, so there's my tree. I have a layer of foam, and you can see how thick that is. It's the same item that I was using on the last one, and a layer of felt. In their instructions, they do recommend that you use poly patch twill. I'm sure that's a shock to everybody. That's one of their products, which is, why we tell you to do things so we can sell stuff, right? But this is going to have foam, and I'm going to use felt. Poly patch twill is a beautiful thing for making this kind of thing. It gives a lot of stability because it's got a really nice stiff base. It's really designed for making patches and things like that. So freestanding things are really great with that. They come in a range of colors. We don't generally carry all of the colors here. We do carry black and white in general. So I could have pulled a white piece here, but I didn't actually have any scraps of it. So we're going to just use that same felt we did for the other tree ornament. That's what I'm trying to say. So many words are hard, aren't they? Good morning. How's Jane today? Oof, yeah, we are a little warmer today, but now it's raining instead of snowing. I'd actually rather have the I'd rather have the snow. I don't like rain. I know that's contrary to a lot of people's feelings, but personally I like to have, I'd rather snow. Rain just, I don't know. One, it makes my body ache, which is absolutely no fun. And two, it is it's just yucky looking. I don't want to say it depresses me because it's definitely way too strong of a word, but it just, I don't like looking at it. That's all I got to say. All right, I am putting in red. My next piece here is going to be 2025. Now, let's say you don't want to put 2025 and you want to put somebody's name in, or you want to write something else, or you don't want a year there at all. One, you could skip it and just don't stitch this part. I'm going to go ahead and get it started so that we keep moving though. Two, you could put in your own piece and then use your needle plus minus button, jump forward to whatever you want to stitch here, and then come back and basically skip this stitch because you've replaced it with something else. Some of us have the ability to reorganize. If you had software, you could do that right in the software. You could get rid of whatever you wanted and didn't want, I guess, is more properly stated. Good morning, Jan. and then you could just stitch it like we are right now. You would replace that in software. On the other ornaments, like I said, I literally typed in name because that was the idea behind it, was that you would type in either your pet's name, or on the snowflake, a person's name. Or you could do your pets on snowflakes or whatever you want to. That's fine. Absolutely. But that is how you would do that. If you want to change that, of course, I wouldn't stitch the word name on any of things. It's just a filler, if you will. Tells you when to stitch the part that you want. So you would enter that in, hit add, enter in what you want, place it inside the ornament right on top of the word name, or in this case, the 2025. And then when you get to where the 2025 is being stitched right now, you would jump ahead in your stitches and go to the last color stop, because that's where it's going to be when you add something. Stitch that piece and then come back. And in this case, we are on color stop 4 now. So we had the placement line, the tack down line, and then this was number 3. So if you replace this with something else, you would come back and start on number 4. All right, so this is going to be holly leaves. Let's see, what do I got? Let's do some dark green, and then we'll probably come back to red, which maybe I'll fix that and make that one color stop. We'll see if it stitches on top of the green or what it looks like. And I just dropped the spool, sorry. It's very staticky in here today. Everything, my thread spools are sticking to me, and it's crazy. I think it's time to turn on the humidifiers. What do y'all think? All right, so we're going to have just some simple holly leaves there in the center. These are designed to be 2-color if you wanted, so you could have a little bit of depth there. I'm going to keep them the same color. You could certainly change here if you wanted to. I want to keep it a little more simple, so I'm not going to change. But color stops are sometimes put in just so that you have options. Even if you don't want to use them, just hit the go button. And so now we have leaf number 2. It's going to go right on the other side, and we'll have the same thing there, half and half. And it does look like the holly leaves are stitching basically on top of that. So I'm sorry, the holly berries are going to stitch pretty much on top of that, which is why it's layered that way. So it doesn't look like I can skip that. All right, so we have a color stop here. Again, this is the second half. So you could have a slightly darker color green if you wanted to have just a little bit of depth. This would, of course, look really great on white as well. So you could go that route. You can use any colors that you want. And if you don't want to stitch anything but 2025, you could skip all of these things and just finish everything out. All right, so now we're going to go back to our red, and almost dropped that spool again. Yesterday was crazy. It took me 3 times my normal travel time to get here. It was absolutely nuts. And everybody, it was crazy. It's just one of those days. Today wasn't as bad, but it's very slushy out there. So it's kind of still got to be careful, you know. All right, so we have switched back to red. It doesn't matter what colors that you're putting in, but if you're wondering what you're seeing, my red is ES, which is Exquisite 3015, and my dark green was 990, also Exquisite. All right, so we have Again, we're going to just do these little berries underneath the leaves. I liked the simplicity. I really like holly leaves, just FYI. So I really liked the simplicity of this stitch. I thought it was really nice. And again, there is an option to change colors and maybe have a slightly darker one, maybe a little cranberry or something. So for next year, it's a great question, Miss D. She's asking, hang on, let me get my mouse functioning again. She is asking, can we swap this out next year and make the 5 a 6? So not just the 5 to a 6, but you can absolutely change 2025 to 2026. Simply pick one of your fonts that are in the machine and fit that right over top of it. So resize it so it fits this space. And then just like if you were changing out the name, word name to the actual name of your pet or your child or whatever it is that you're stitching in, you would jump forward to the end, stitch this, and then come back and skip the 2025. You would just right over top of it. Again, if you have, not right over top, you would not stitch 2025, you would stitch your replacement 2026, and then you would go to the next color stop, which in this case was the holly leaves. So if you have software, you could simply change that, delete the 2025, add in 2026, make sure you put it in the same color stop. What I mean by that is when I'm replacing something like that, I usually leave the original in there until I'm ready to actually, I've already got the new one and I'm ready to actually replace it. I drag that in the color list to be the next one or right before whatever I'm replacing, and then I delete it. And that way you ensure that you're staying in the same order. You don't want to just add it because then it would be at the end as well. So you always want to put things in your software. If you're replacing something like this, you want to put it in the same color stop space as what we had here. So hopefully that answered that question. And it is a great one. So thank you for asking it. All right. This says there's another color that's going to go, I think it's probably like the dimple on the berry leaves or something. So let's, I don't know what, let's grab, I've got some metallic red here. Let's just give that a go and see what happens. All right, everybody, let's make a bet. Is it going to thread my metallic thread with my automatic threader or not? Fingers crossed. Well, that didn't work. Here we go. I think I'm not doing as well as I did earlier. Tweezers definitely help. All right, sorry about that. Here we go. Little guys that are going to just decorate on there. The next thing that, and it came unthreaded. Isn't that gorgeous? Don't we love it when that happens? All right, tweezers. See, guys, this happens to everybody. And of course, now I can't rethread it. And was just a little bit frayed. So we're going to cut that off and see if that helps. Sure did. All right, we're going to try that one more time. This is, again, just the, like the little circles, like what would that be? That didn't sound lovely, did it? I think we're okay. Something sounded funky, but it's back to normal. Probably have a messy bobbin area or something right there would be my guess. The metallic thread that I'm using here, you can see it does stitch just like normal. Evidently, it doesn't thread like normal, which is an interesting little thing. All right, the next thing that I need to do is I need to tack the back down. So I am going to take this out and come over here. And just like before, I am going to add felt to the back. Lots of foam. Here we go. All right, so here's my front, just so that you guys can see that cute little stitch out. And then I'm going to turn it over. In the directions, it does suggest that you have a mat underneath. And what that does is it supports when you're pushing on here so that you don't push and actually shift the project itself. It is a great practice. I'm not going to lie, I forget about that because that wasn't a thing when I started doing stuff like this. And so I forget that it's an option that I have now. Again, I'm just using a large piece of tape over the ends instead of doing the 4 corners. But I have that attached. The next thing that's going to happen is we're going to stitch right through here. This one does have a satin edge. So I think I am going to put in my light green again. I'm debating whether I should try that beautiful, not try, I know it'll work, whether I should put in the light green metallic for my edge. That would be fun, right? It'll match my my felt really nice. All right, so this is going to stitch basically right on top of what we had before. Probably want to see that. You're very welcome for the information, Dee. I'm happy to. That's what this is all about, right? Is helping you guys get things done the way you want them done. So we are stitching right on top of our previous outline, and we are attaching our felt to the back. This is covering up all of our stitches so that we aren't going to have a messy back. And there is still a really nice amount of puff to this inside because it's not covered in stitching. We still have a nice puffy piece in here. So we've got that. Now what we need to do is trim around both the top and on the bottom and remove the excess so we can do the satin stitch edging. So here I have 2 different layers. I am actually, I think because that felt is thick enough on its own, I don't think I want it. Yeah, I'm not going to trim them together. I'm going to trim them separate, just FYI. If you had poly patch twill, it would feel different. So you could certainly make your own decision depending upon whether you have regular fabric, which you can absolutely use regular fabric, or if you are, you know, just how are you going to get that nice clean edge is what you want to look at. So you want to get the best trim as possible so that your satin stitch is going to look as nice as possible. Okay. Trim it around. So the reason I'm debating on that metallic is because it doesn't necessarily fill in the gap, if you will, quite as easily and nicely as a regular standard thread does. So it's a little stiffer, just a little bit. So when you're doing a satin stitch over the edge, I'm afraid there might be a gap in there, which I don't want. That's the only reason I'm hesitating on using that, but I think we're going to give it a try, and that way you guys can see what it'll look like regardless. So I am now making a second pass and getting rid of my foam on the top layer. Once I have that, I will work around the back. Don't forget the back. It's easy to forget. So don't forget to trim that back as well. Can I help? What you need? Okay, hang on. This is time sensitive. Okay. All right, so we've got that guy. We still need to do the back. I apologize. I need to step away for just a moment. I will be right back.
I can't see anything from over here. The ceiling doesn't appear to be wet. The only water I can see might be that water heater, but it should not be doing that.
No, it should not. If you can either text him or call him, that's John, and tell him what's going on, and I will gladly deal with it in a few more minutes. But if you can get that started, that would be great. I apologize. We have a little bit of a water leak happening, so needed to get that started to get working on that. So I apologize. I had to step away for that. All right, I am now trimming the back here. Again, if you put that little mat underneath there, you're not pushing, and that would stay firm, and it would give you a nice cutting surface as well. I just forget about it. It's a great idea, and it's a wonderful practice. So if you are newer, it's a wonderful thing to start doing. And basically, we're just talking about, this one's a little too small, but you would put that in there, and then it holds the center up so that when you're cutting and you're pushing, that doesn't go anywhere. It really is a great idea and a great process to have available to you. Um, if you have to press something on the back, like actually iron something to the back of your hoop, whether it just be you're working a project that you're pulling fabrics back and forth from the front of the hoop to the back of the hoop or whatever, folding things, and you need a nice clean line, that is absolutely going to help with that. Oh, I don't know if you guys remember it. We had a flood. COVID wasn't enough of a challenge for us. We had to have a flood at the same time. But it looks like kind of like how that got started. So this will be a fun day. So I do apologize for having to step away. Actually, I am now going to match my bobbin thread, and I am going to try that beautiful pale green. So I've got my matching bobbin that I pulled out of my handy dandy case. Can't imagine he replied. Did you text? Okay.
Yeah, if there's a leak in the bathroom ceiling, we'll remove the ceiling tile to see what we can find. We'll keep in touch.
Okay.
It is where you're at.
Yeah. Trying. I can't. Timing is everything, isn't it? Yeah, so interestingly enough, this will not thread most of the metallic threads.
I wonder if that's used right.
Huh? It might be.
We can fix that. I know somebody. I got a guy for that.
You got a guy for that?
I got a guy for
I
that.
thought you were the guy for that. All right. Thank God for tweezers, because what else would we do, right? All right, let's see. Oh, I like it too. Thank you. This is my signature color at this point. I no longer choose different colors. This is always my nail polish color. I did last year, right the week before Christmas, I did get Christmas nails for a very short period of time last year. I had a little Santa Claus hat. I had candy cane stripes and different things. They were very cute. But outside of that, this is the same color I've had on my nails now for, oh my goodness, close to a year, if not more. I used to try different colors, but I never liked them as much as this one. So I finally said, quit trying something else. Just go with what you like. So there you go. But thank you for that. I appreciate it. So Miss Marilyn, way to make dinner. That's fantastic. You are so very welcome. I'm always happy. This is fun. I really enjoy this. And this actually, part of the reason I didn't send out these files prior to doing this is I wanted to actually stitch one out just to make sure I didn't mess anything up and it was doing what it was supposed to do. So it is doing a beautiful job, and it's actually got a really nice edging here. So I don't think there'll be a coverage issue like I was concerned about at all. So I think it's going to be just fine because it's really laying down a nice base so that we're going there. But you have to remember, we are going through 3 different layers of product here. We have that foam that's up top, which you have to make sure that you're catching the edges of all of that to make sure it's going to get in there and stay put. And then we have, in this case, felt. So one of the reasons that felt might be not the right choice is when you do have a ton of, sometimes felts, if you aren't using a nice felt, we'll just use that word, they can tear because they stretch out and whatnot. But so far, this is looking really good, and that green is gorgeous on this screen. So it is really coming together nicely. We're doing this beautiful satin stitch, and then it's going to do a little circle right at the top of the tree, inside the tree, not literally on top of the tree. And that'll give you some support when you go to hang this later on. This is, it's coming together great, and the metallic is really just giving a little extra something. So this is really great. I'm enjoying this one. You could also do like your numbers in white or something different like that if you always wanted to as well. Unfortunately, I'm not immune from anything, Miss Marilyn. It is, it can be a challenge for me, just like it can be a challenge for you. You know, thread literally has a mind of its own. And you can have a project that you might have made 10, and your 11th one, it just all of a sudden things aren't working the way that you wanted them to. And unfortunately, thread sometimes does that. You can have a spool of thread that runs phenomenally well, and then you have a bad section that just doesn't want to run at all. So if you do run into that, first thing I would do, of course, is change my needle. Make sure it's not a needle issue, because if you've been making 10 of something, maybe you need a fresh needle. But if that doesn't work and you're still getting shredding or breakage or whatnot, literally unreel a couple yards off your spool and just throw it out and try again. Because sometimes you literally can just get a bad section. Oh, Mary, I'm so glad that you like it. I am tickled pink with how it's coming together. So I did have a very good time last night creating all of this stuff. I actually had a different plan for what I was going to do today, but this actually worked out better, I think, than what I was going to do. But this is they're absolutely adorable. If you have Dime and you don't own the In the Hoop module, I highly recommend it. This is phenomenal. There are mug rugs, there are little notebook covers, there were little wall hangings, there's quilt pieces, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do, and it's really, really great. I am actually going to switch screens here. Could you copy and paste? I mean, possibly you could line them up over top of one another and do that. Where's my mouse? She's asking if you could take this circle that's going to stitch on this one and use it on the Kimberbell one, which is a great question. You would have to actually load both designs and then jump to that particular stitch set. After you finish the Kimberbell one, you would need to add that in. I don't hate the idea of sewing in a string, but at the same time, not if I have to hand sew it. So this is a great suggestion. And yes, you could absolutely do it. On your machine's screen, you would need to line the two up. So this tree is bigger than the Kimberbell tree. So you would also need to keep that in mind. But great question. All right. So it's going to jump right into that and stitch that circle. Again, it's going to be inside the tree, not up at the top, which is going to give it a little bit more security. So we are coming right up on 10 o'clock, and I wanted to talk about our little drawstring sew bag. So here are the directions that are there. I just had to add a little cute something there. So it is a drawstring bag. You need to have 2 pieces cut to 8 by 9 inches and 1 piece cut to 8 by 5. You're going to take that 8 by 5 piece. So I know it's shocker, right? I happen to have that stuff here. So I do not have time to sew this for you, but I'm going to walk through the directions. So this is my small piece. I didn't even have time to press this. I would absolutely iron this before I started sewing. You're going to take this piece, and on the short edge, you're going to turn up about 1/4 inch. And then I would press that and turn that up again and press that. And then you're going to sew that in place. So make a seam so that it stays there. And then repeat on the other end so that you have a hemmed edge on this on both ends. Once we have that, we are going to fold that in half. And again, these ends would be seamed, and you are going to then just cut on the fold. All right. So then we have 2 pieces that are this size, and they have seamed finished ends. Okay. We're going to take one of these and one of these. You're going to take this piece and fold it in half. And it's going to be slightly smaller because we have seamed ends, right? And you're going to put the raw edges centered on the top of this. So center it so that you have an even space on each side here. And then we're going to sew that with a 3/8 inch seam. All right. Repeat with this other second piece and the second piece of this. So we will have these sewn together. All right. And you will have open fabric on the ends here and here. What we'll do at this point is finish this seam. So you can take it to a serger, just do an overcast stitch. You could do a zigzag stitch, but we want to keep this fabric from fraying over time. So we're just going to finish that seam off. Serger is probably the quickest and fastest, but whatever you have available to you is absolutely fine. Once that is finished, you're going to flip this edge up. And again, it's a tube, and it has folded in edges. Not folded in, seamed in edges. So you have a tube at the top that is open here and here with that seam, and it's folded here. We're going to take this piece with it folded up and this piece and put them right sides together, and they both will have that folded piece up here. All right. And then we're going to sew all 3 sides here again with a 3/8 inch seam. There should be plenty of room inside of these because we've made them smaller by a 1/2 inch. So there's plenty of room to put your 3/8 inch seam around those edges. We're going to do all 3 sides here. Do not sew anything else at the top. Once we have that, finish these 3 edges the same way you finished the edge up there with your serger or an overcast, whatever works best for you. What we are then going to do is turn the bag. So one of the tips that she had, and it looked phenomenal in the video, is she folds her finished seams and holds that. And then when she turns it, it comes out nice and sharp because the raw edges are folded. So you get a really nice sharp 90-degree corner there. So again, with your seams finished, fold your finished seam in, fold this finished seam over top of that, hold that, and then turn that corner and it will come out nice and sharp. So then we're going to do that with both bottom corners, and you'll have this guy up here with the tube. All right. So that will basically finish that bag. Press that so this stays nice and straight. I love this. She said you can have the option of top stitching all the way around the bag. I would absolutely do that. I think it'll give it it'll help that top stay up there, and it'll give a nice smooth edge. Once we have that, we need to make our ties. So again, I took a width of fabric. I cut that right at the fold. We're going to, you could use a bias binding folding tool if you have one. If you don't, that's okay. We're going to fold in both sides. All right. All the way down, which is why, again, if you have that bias folding piece, that's going to help you do this faster, but you can absolutely do without. So we're going to fold that so we have a center piece right in here. That's where our raw edges are. Once we have that, we're going to fold that in half again. So our raw edges are now in the center, and we're going to have a strip. Does not want to stay where I put it. Folded here, press that so that it stays nice, and then fold those halves together so your raw edges are in the center. Take this to the sewing machine and sew your ties here, or you can just cut some ribbon. So if you like grosgrain ribbon, you can cut some ribbon. The pieces should be approximately 22 inches long. This one is 21 and a half if I take the selvage off. So I'm pretty close. I think this would work. So basically what you're going to do is feed that through. So you're going to have a tube on each side. You need one piece to be fed from the right side and then loop back so that it looks like this inside your tube, and your loose edges are over here. And you take the second piece and go the opposite. So start at the left and feed it around so that you have this. And then when you pull those, that's how you get the drawstring to close, is these will come together. Once you have that, just knot your ends. These, of course, will be smaller pieces. Knot your ends so that they don't come undone, and you have a beautiful drawstring bag. So I apologize that I don't have the ability to do that on screen, but bumped myself out. There we go. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Okay, so that is everything that I have for you today. I hope this helps you get some gifts done and everything, but absolutely, there's no offense taken. That's the wonderful thing about that. You could use ribbons, you could use cords. So Jane's saying she would use some shiny cord, like cording or something like that. That would be beautiful. Whatever you have, it doesn't really matter. The idea is that you would get one piece that goes one direction, and then the other that goes so that when you pull, it actually drawstrings it closed. Use a cute little, this guy, whatever he's called. What's that called? I'm trying a complete and total blank. It's a word. Bodkin. Good job, Tony. Tony's the man today. So using a bodkin is going to make that super easy. Of course, a pin or something will as well. All right. I don't see any other pieces in there. I am going to pop off for the day. Podkin, that is absolutely the right word. They're all filling in for me. Thank you so very much. Isn't it great when your mind stops working? Just got to love it, right? All right. Thank you again for joining me. We will see you next time. Hopefully next week I'll have time to prep my plan. We'll have to wait and see, huh? You guys have a great one. We'll see you next time. Bye.